latest Marvel movie, Thunderbolts, is finally here. I decided to go have a double feature yesterday, seeing Thunderbolts and The Accountant 2. Make sure you check out the video for that. But with Marvel's latest entry in Thunderbolts, I want to take a second to just give you guys my thoughts, because this movie is pretty much everything that I expected, and I mean that in a very positive way. Now, of course, it is no secret that Marvel has been kind of stutter stepping here with a lot of their latest projects, whether movies or TV shows that have been coming out as of late. There has been a lot of mixed reactions for different projects. People feeling like Marvel is just not who they once were. Things are too jokey, too comedic, with not enough substance, sometimes even taking away from a character arc that had been established in previous projects. So going into Thunderbolts, honestly, I did have high expectations. Now, when marketing first started, I wasn't too sure, just because these are characters who are kind of by the sideline, characters that I don't really care that much about. I mean, Yelena was an amazing character introduced in the Black Widow movie. I did like her in the Hawkeye show. Obviously, Bucky is gonna hold some weight as well. Love seeing the Winter Soldier in any project that he becomes a part of. But other than that, I really didn't have that much of a connection or a draw to see any of these characters. Red Guardian took a lot to kind of grow on me. Taskmaster, Ghost weren't really that appealing to me either. And even John Walker was definitely not a character that I ever could see myself giving a damn about. So when this project was announced, that was kind of my view on it, was how am I going to actually care about these characters? Even the Sentry is not a character that I'm crazy familiar with from the comics, but what's working for him, at least for me, was his premise of having this kind of dual personality to him that I thought was interesting enough, at least for me, especially as a villain. So I was definitely going to see this movie either way, but I just wasn't sure how I would walk out of the film feeling about these characters moving forward. And with that being said, I am pleasantly surprised to be able to tell you that I am very impressed with this movie. I had a good time watching this film. These are now characters that I look forward to seeing in the future work together, and they are now characters that I do care about. Starting off with some of the positives that I had about this movie, I gotta talk about the cast as a whole. This being a ragtag misfit group of people who really aren't cared about that much if you look widely into the fandom. Definitely not characters that general audiences would really care about, at least I don't think so. But even with all that, the cast managed to just work so well together. Each character becomes more likable in this movie, in my opinion. Each one of them carries a little bit of emotion regarding their own story and their own arc that give you some insight into maybe why they are the way that they are. Even the little comedy bits that are thrown in amongst them when they're having dialogue works so well, is never over the top, and I'm not gonna lie, gave me quite a few laughs while watching the movie. Each character was given a decent amount of screen time and dialogue to kind of make you feel for their character and what they're going through, what they've been through. And I really enjoy seeing these characters in a new light and really just having a good time with them. Amongst the cast though, there definitely are standouts. Main one, of course, you've seen it before, is Yelena. She absolutely steals the show anytime she is on screen. Florence Pugh does a fantastic job at her portrayal of this character. I liked her in Black Widow. I liked her in Hawkeye. I think that she really embodies her character of Yelena, and the performance that she gives, whether it is being jokeful, whether it is being serious, or giving these very emotional lines throughout the movie, she nails every single part of it. She is so badass, and I think that she just does an amazing job at bringing everybody together and getting everybody to work together. She is definitely the center of this movie. If anybody was, it would be her. Her scenes with Sentry were absolutely amazing. The dialogue that they have about each other's struggles, what they're going through, and how to pull through it hit very hard, especially if these are subjects that maybe you have personal experiences with. They hit very hard and are very relatable and are delivered in such a magnificent way that I had just an amazing time in awe watching them together on screen. Another standout, at least for me, was Red Guardian. Now, this was a character that, like I said, it took a while to kind of grow on me a bit. I didn't really like him too much in Black Widow. I felt like he was just too up there. He's an old guy with all this enthusiasm, very self-centered, wanting fame and fortune. And that was kind of his whole motive. But as projects went on, honestly, what did it for me was the What If episode with him and Bucky in season 3. Even though I haven't finished that series, I really need to, because What If kind of fell a little bit for me. But that episode, I really came to like Red Guardian and just the enthusiasm and eagerness that he brings to the projects that he's a part of. And in this movie is no different. He is so much an enthusiastic father. He is very proud of Yelena. He's very funny in his line delivery, but even when he decides to get serious and have like a really heartfelt conversation, I think that David Harbour just nails it and it's very interesting to watch. I will say too, John Walker kind of impressed me this movie. In the beginning of the movie, I still did not like him. Still not a huge fan of John Walker. I don't know, something about his face and his line delivery. He's just an asshole. And I know that is the character, so I guess he does a great job. But even in this movie, there are some beats regarding him and his story that you made to feel for him. And by the end of this movie, honestly, I think that you really do care for each one of these characters, whether it be John Walker, Yelena, Ghost. And that was a pleasant surprise for me because now, even in small amounts, I am interested in what this team does moving forward, which we may have gotten a little bit of a hint about. Next, talking about our main antagonist for this movie, the Sentry. Oh, dude, the Sentry is amazing. Now, when it comes to the Sentry, like I said, I don't know a whole lot about him. I know the basics, kind of this dual personality. One's evil, one is not evil, and kind of the struggle between these personalities and which one he allows to take over at a moment. When we originally got the news that it was going to be Steven Yeun who was going to be portraying the Sentry, I was actually excited about that. I love Steven Yeun. I think he is an amazing actor. I was really interested to see him tap into this evil kind of character. And then we got the announcement that he had pulled out of the project and we were left with Louis Pullman. It bummed me out a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to you, it bummed me out a little bit. Didn't know who this guy was. I didn't know what his acting ability was capable of. And I wasn't too sure. After seeing him in this movie, oh man, this guy is the Sentry. He does an amazing job at portraying both sides of his personalities. The Void and Sentry. He does an absolute phenomenal job. And I was so pleasantly surprised. This guy got into character, embodied this character. When he is Bob and he's this quirky, kind of clumsy, timid kind of character, it works so well. He is some of the comedic relief in a way, more of the lighthearted emotion in the movie. And man, when we get to the part when we see him as Void, oh my goodness. Mixed with the visuals of this character, the dialogue that he delivers, his demeanor as this character, and the cadence of his voice just all around worked. And dude, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro, it was a little terrifying in some moments. He did such a good job at playing this character who wants to be part of something bigger, wants to have a purpose, and because of that is allowing somebody, Valentina, to kind of take advantage of him. And it really does make you feel bad for the character. There are moments in this movie where I genuinely felt really bad for him and understood why he was making a certain decision, whether it be right or wrong. But I felt sorry for the guy. But he was absolutely a draw to this film from start to finish. Another thing that worked really well for me was the mental health messaging of this movie. It is very much so a commentary on mental health and different categories that kind of fit under that umbrella. And I think that it is handled so well. You have this cast of people who should not be together, working together, fighting their levels of depression, them wanting to have more purpose in life, wanting to feel fulfilled in the things that they're doing, and wanting to do good and be better people. And some of the dialogue choices that regard this category or regard this topic is done so well. Like I said, if this is something that you have experience with in your personal life, I think that a lot of these conversations will hit really hard, especially the final conversation between Yelena and Sentry. That one for me was a pretty big one. And I think that it's done so tastefully. It's not even done in like a boo-hoo, woe is me type of sense. It is more of a recognition and awareness of how this person feels and how the way that they feel is affecting the decisions that they make. And it's done so well that it hits the right beats. It's not over the top. It's not crazy in your face, but it is very much so a part of this movie, an important part of this movie, and kind of the driving force between all of these characters, their sense of wanting to be more, do more, have a purpose. And I think that it was tackled in such a tasteful way that added to the overall experience of the film and to the overall tone of the film. Because it's another thing that I really liked about this movie was the tone of it. With Red Guardian, with even Bucky and Yelena, really with this whole cast, I was kind of expecting a little over the top comedy in this film. And I was very happy to see that that was not the case at all. This is not a Taika Waititi film. No Love and Thunder jokes here. The tone was very serious within this movie, very dramatic, very suspenseful, very important and intense. And the comedy that is sprinkled in this movie is done so well, and it doesn't take away from the tone of the movie. It doesn't take you out of what is happening in the moment. I mean, Yelena makes a whole bunch of jokes throughout the entire movie, a lot of the times her being sarcastic, and it works so well within the context of the characters, of the story, of the overall tone. I was very happy to see that they went a completely different route with this movie instead of being overly jokey, which they could have. With this cast of characters, they absolutely could have went that route, and I'm so glad that they didn't. The shots of this movie, the cinematography, the camera angles that they had, the filtering of the overall movie felt really dark. It felt really crazy and intense. It was very dramatic. Nothing to me really looked out of place. There wasn't a lot of bad CGI. It honestly felt like there was a lot of love and care that was put into this film. A lot of people who knew what they were doing, a lot of people who knew what they were aiming for and executed it perfectly. Action in this movie too was done really well. The choreography with the fighting, it felt very natural. It felt very much so in line with older MCU type of movies. Things like The Winter Soldier, Civil War. Really, my only gripe with the action is I do kind of wish there was a bit more. It wasn't crazy lacking. There weren't many moments where I was like, ah, damn, no more action or whatever like that. But I think it was missing a bit. The dialogue of this film kind of takes over the action. But when we do get into those action sequences, oh man, I think that they're done fantastic, especially when we first see Sentry in action. Told you, that guy's a beast. That guy is a problem. I don't know what's in the future for him later, but this guy's a problem. But like I said, when we do get into those action sequences, I loved them, every one of them. I will say, as far as characters go though, Valentina is a character that I am kind of tired of seeing. I don't really like her character. Not a huge fan of her delivery. Now where this movie goes, I hope that we see a lot less of her. But even she, it's not like it was bad acting. I just wasn't a fan. The bottom line is I had a fantastic time with this movie. I think that this is a movie that deserves to be seen in the theaters. You know, like I said before, Marvel has had a real shaky track record lately with a lot of their projects just feeling like they're lacking substance, too much comedy in them, and also not being so connected to what's going on in the wider MCU. And while this movie, I think, does a great job at being kind of a standalone film, but also having a little bit of setup for what is to come, this movie was just fantastic. Now, the tracking for this movie as the release was coming up, not very good. And I believe that the Thursday release only made about 11.5 million, which is kind of right around what Brave New World made. So this opening weekend is not looking too good, but I think that it is important, if you did see it, to give that word of mouth, which is why I'm here talking to you about it in the first place. I think you should go check this movie out. If you are somebody who misses kind of the old vibes and more serious tones of the MCU, I think that you will have a great time with this movie. And if you are somebody who liked this movie, it's important that Marvel knows that, so that they know that this is the direction to go. We are at a time in history where your opinion, it does go a long way for major studios, but your wallet does too. And by making those purchases and going to see the movies and the projects that you like, you're sending a signal to those people in the higher positions of these companies. And I think that that is important. So I am saying, check out this movie. Go check it out. I think you'll have a good time with it. It was a phenomenal watch. Definitely something I want to see again. There are 2 post-credit scenes if you didn't know that already. And man, they are pretty dope. That is pretty much what I got for you for the Thunderbolts movie. If you did stay to the end of this video, I appreciate that. Make sure you hit that like button so we could push this video out to more people. Also, consider subscribing to the channel so that you don't miss any future videos that come out and you can stay updated. And I appreciate that very much, so thank you. But as always, man, I am out of here. Y'all be smooth and stay geeked up.